Stroke. What exactly is a stroke? Stroke occurs when there is a rapid death of brain tissue due to a disturbance in blood supply. Now let's define the two different types of stroke. Ischemic, which is a loss of blood flow, and hemorrhagic, which is a rupture of a blood vessel in the brain or bleeding. No matter if a stroke is ischemic or hemorrhagic, the amount and type of function affected by stroke depends on the side of the brain affected, the area of the brain that has been damaged, and the amount of damage that has occurred. The functions that can be affected are motor, sensation, cognitive, and communication functions. Due to the severity of strokes, it is important to point out some key facts and statistics. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, stroke is the fourth leading cause of death in the United States. Stroke kills almost 130,000 Americans each year. On average, 1 American dies from stroke every 4 minutes. Every year, more than 795,000 people in the U.S. have a stroke, and about 87% of all strokes are ischemic strokes. It is also important to point out myths about stroke. According to the National Stroke Association, some myths include, but are not limited to: Number 1, stroke is unpreventable. Actually, strokes are largely preventable. Number 2, stroke cannot be treated. Actually, strokes require emergency treatment. Number 3, stroke only strikes elderly. Actually, stroke can happen to anyone. Number 4, stroke happens to the heart. Actually, stroke is a brain attack. Number 5, strokes are difficult to recognize. Actually, a person can diagnose a stroke quite easily. And number 6, you can treat a stroke at home by taking aspirin. Actually, aspirin could make the situation worse. Let's now take a look at some famous people who have experienced a stroke during his or her lifetime. Dick Clark. After his stroke in 2004, he continued to host Dick Clark's New Year's Eve Rockin' Eve, which showed his incredible strength and inspiration. Some presidents of the United States who have experienced a stroke: Thomas Jefferson, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, and Richard Nixon. Mary Kay Ash started a cosmetic company known as Mary Kay Incorporated. She suffered a stroke in 1996, which ended her career. Della Reese experienced her stroke during her appearance on The Tonight Show. She later became spokeswoman for the National Stroke Association. Ted Williams played for the Boston Red Sox. He suffered a stroke in 1994 and lived until 2002. Hugh Hefner suffered a stroke in his late 50s. He described this incident as a stroke of luck for how it changed the direction of his life. Some of these individuals I mentioned ended in a sad story, but others should symbolize inspiration. Prevention is very important. Up to 80% of all strokes can be prevented, so take action now. A few steps to follow are: know your blood pressure. High blood pressure is a major stroke risk factor if left untreated. Stop smoking. Smoking doubles the risk of stroke. Control alcohol use. Manage exercise and diet. Have a healthy weight. Being overweight or obese increases your risk for stroke. And talk with your healthcare team. You and your healthcare team can work together to prevent or treat medical conditions that lead to stroke. Being aware of symptoms is very crucial. Only 38% of people were aware of major symptoms and knew to call 911 when someone was having a stroke. Something to remember and take away from this video is to act fast and call 911 immediately at any sign of a stroke. The F in FAST stands for face. Ask a person to smile and see if one side of the face droops. Arms. Ask a person to raise both arms. Does one arm drift downward? Speech. Ask the person to repeat a simple phrase. Is their speech slurred? And time. Time to call 911. If you observe any of these signs, call right away. Thank you so much for listening.